Social media in 2025 moves fast, but that doesn't mean that your content creation workflow has to be. So today I'm taking you behind the scenes on how we serve $3,000 to $10,000 social media management clients and capturing content from them without actually spending any time with them on site. This workflow has helped us create high-performing content for clients without burning out, without missing out on trends and all the good stuff, and without having to chase clients all the freaking time. Hey, my name is Will and I own a $500,000 social media marketing agency, and I now help social media managers do the same. If you're new here, then make sure you grab my guide on becoming a high-paid social media manager that I will drop right here. Are you ready? Let's dive in. So the very first part of this workflow is content strategy. Now, content strategy doesn't actually exist without creating a social media strategy, which is your big picture plan. So when we onboard a new client, that's the very first thing we do for them. We create a social media strategy. Now, the reason being is because you can't just dive into content research if you don't know their audience, if you don't know how competitors are doing it, if you don't know about their offer, and all of that good stuff. So here's a quick overview on what that looks like within a strategy and the things we dive in. This is already a big part of doing the research, and that's going to help you get into the nitty-gritty when it comes to actually coming up with content, sending it over to clients, and keeping it very streamlined on what you need from them. So of course, we need to know our avatars. We need to know exactly who we're targeting when we're creating content in the first place. That is a big part of strategy, as well as goals, competitors, and all of that stuff. Now, once we get to the actual content pillars, I like to dive into the types of keywords we actually want to create content around. Again, this is going to be very important before we dive into actually creating the reports that we send along with a strategy like this. Here's an example of someone in the fitness space and industry and what would be apply to them. So the first one being nutrition. Part of their membership and part of their work is giving advice on the nutrition. It's really like a side byproduct of fitness, if you will, where you combine, right, food with workouts. So nutrition is a big part of their content plan. Of course, fitness in general will apply to them, whether they do Pilates or other workouts. It is just fitness in general as a keyword. Matcha is a big part of their brand, something they can really incorporate as they have their own products, and it's something they're very well known for. And as well as motherhood in general, because this specific strategy is a personal brand, and so you want to be relatable. So that is something this person can create content around as well. Now, knowing that brings me into the next part of our actual workflow on how we then put together a content report that we send to a client along with their strategy. Now, even though the initial strategy we do typically in the first month, and we will refresh it every year or every so often as needed, or if big things change, we will send them monthly research content reports, and that's something that's ongoing. So strategy isn't a one and done. Even though you will not create a big report like this every single month, you will be strategizing for them based on what's working, what's not working, what's trending, and all of that stuff. So the second part in our workflow is to use a tool like a viral finder. There are many ways you can conduct content research, but this is probably the easiest one. Reason being is because everyone's algorithm is completely different. So I do like to do a lot of research through my clients' accounts because their algorithm is already programmed for them and the type of content that is in their industry. But if I were to search through my account, it would be completely different. So I like to use a tool like Viral Finder that I'll show you right here. You can create a free account where you'll log in, and it allows you to actually find content that performs. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can search through hashtags, which we're about to do today, but you can also look into their competitors. This is a great way to do this as part of your competitor research, where you actually put in a username and, for example, this person in fitness industry and I can find out what hashtags they're using and what their best performing content is. This is obviously a game changer because then we can see, oh, this is someone in the fitness industry. If we have another client in this industry, what's doing well? Now, a pattern you can see here is that before and afters are doing really well on this account as they all end up in the top post. I can even click on this, I can check out the post, I can see how many comments, likes, and all of that good stuff they got. And I can even go as far as downloading the Excel sheet that has all of their content listed out with this information. Now, that's one way of doing it. Now, another way you can do is by actually using the hashtag or keywords and going back into your strategy. So the content pillar, let's say I go for matcha. I will go back into the tool and I'm gonna say matcha. So we're gonna click on view results and we can actually see viral top content for the keyword matcha. Now here you will see that this didn't give me as many results as I would like. It has 9 million posts, which isn't bad, but something I can look for and say, maybe I will look for a different keyword, matcha lover. If I'm not getting the types of results I want, I can do a direct search to inside of TikTok that will give me so many content suggestions in the also search for section. So if I go into matcha lover, you can actually see that because I am on the free plan right now, you can upgrade and you will get more keywords if you do this for a lot of clients that you can add those. Now, again, there's different ways you can do research, whether it's through the app itself, whether it's using a tool like this so that you can get insights directly. But the important part is using your strategy that you actually created, taking those keywords that make sense for this strategy and this account, relevant to their niche and what's indirectly still aligned with their brand, so that you can find content that's already working in that niche, whether it's reels, static posts, it doesn't matter, all the high performing content. Now, the next thing you are going to do is put together a content research sheet for you and your team or internally. This is something I like to do with my team that is not external to the client, but it's really for our own sake so that we know what is actually working and going on. We've created a shared drive with our client, and under Reels report, we have an internal process and external process. So the internal process being content research. Here is where you can put all the research you have found in the tool like Viral Finder, inside of Instagram, TikTok, whatever your preferred way is to search, but those are some that I would recommend. And you're gonna add all of these to the content research sheet. Now, something I look for is remind yourself what keywords you use to actually find the content, link the actual post to the sheet so that you can go back in and check it out, and take note of the caption hook as well as the visual hooks. Hooks have played a big part into why content's performing, why it's going viral, and so this will give you a lot of inspiration to know, okay, this hook did really well. For example, here we have a piece of content that was found in the fitness industry. It got 200,000 likes and the caption hook was calisthenics beginners workout. Now, let's say my client does Pilates. I could tweak that caption hook for them into Pilates beginner workout. And then the visual hook they have actually on the screen, they said how to start calisthenics. My client could then say how to start with Pilates. Now, that is a great way for you to kind of not reinvent the wheel, but have a proven framework of, okay, this works. Let's make it work for us. And so again, this is all internal because you still have to tweak it and make it make sense for the client. So the next part of the workflow, you are going to create this monthly Reels report that we send to our clients literally every single month with updated content we want them to film. Okay, and that's what I mean by we don't go on site, do all the heavy lifting, all the strategy, all the research. All they have to do is turn on their iPhone and say beginner workout Pilates, right? They already have the hooks, they have the research, they have the examples. And so all of that stuff is going to help them create this content and make it super, super easy. So here you can see it is slightly different than our content research, but it's fairly similar. The biggest difference is that we only add the hook that they will use. So here's an example where it says, let me de-influence you on a few of these wellness trends. So that is the hook our client will use. They can then see mark this off when they film it. We mark it off if we've actually used it in the calendar. But once a client has filmed it, they can mark these off. Let's say your client doesn't like a certain trend, they can go into the client's note and say, I didn't like it, you know, something like that. But in general, clients are really good about filming, and we do add the exact notes. So here's a trend that we shared with them, and in the filming notes we added, film 2 clips of the same angle, one of you happy and energized and another one of you sad and demotivated. They can go ahead and look at the example that we have right here for them, and you will see the kind of idea we're trying to mimic. As you can see, it's still very different from what this person does and what our client does, but it gives us a proven framework. Now, this is the exact workflow we repeat to our clients every single month, where at the beginning of the month, we send out this report, they film, upload the content, and our team will handle the rest from editing, putting it into the content calendar for approval. Easy peasy, and that's it. If you found this helpful, then you would love my membership, the Elite Social Society, that you can join. I will drop the link right here, where we go over all of these kinds of processes, strategies, with coaching directly from me and new content every month. So check it out. If not, I will see you in next week's video. Thanks for watching.